You ever scroll through your feed and realize there's that one friend, you know, the one you had a great time with last weekend, but their profile is a ghost town. No new photos since 2019, no stories, no witty updates. It's like they exist in the real world, but are a complete mystery online. Are they okay? Did they forget their password? Or are they just better than all of us? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? In a world where everyone is broadcasting their lunch, their vacation, and their every thought, these digital ghosts seem to be playing a different game entirely. What's really going on behind that silence? Well, the psychology is fascinating, and it's not as simple as just being private. Today, we're diving into the minds of people who don't post on social media. Let's start with the first type. I call them the observers. Picture this. They have accounts on all the major platforms. They see your stories. They read your posts. They might even drop a quiet like here and there, but contribute never. They are the silent audience in the grand theater of social media. You might think they're just shy or uninterested, but it's often deeper than that. For the observers, social media isn't a stage, it's a window. They're driven by a powerful psychological need for information gathering. This is rooted in what psychologists call social comparison theory, but with a twist. Instead of comparing to compete, they compare to understand. They're mapping the social landscape, figuring out who's who, what's trending, and where the cultural currents are flowing. They're not antisocial, they're hypersocial, just in a passive way. Posting feels like a performance, and they'd much rather be in the audience, analyzing the play. It gives them a sense of control and awareness without the vulnerability of putting themselves out there. There's no pressure to be witty, beautiful, or successful when you're just watching. They get all the social data without any of the social cost. Then we have a completely different profile, the contented realists. You know these people. Their life isn't necessarily more exciting than yours, but they seem to be living it more directly. They're the ones who, when you're all taking pictures of the sunset, are just watching the sunset. It's not that they're judging you. They're just fully absorbed in the moment. For the contented realist, the drive to post is incredibly low because their sense of validation comes from within. Their self-worth isn't tied to external metrics like likes or comments. Psychologically, this points to a strong internal locus of control. They believe they are the architects of their own happiness and experiences. The experience itself, the hike, the dinner, the conversation is the reward. Documenting it for an audience feels redundant, like making a copy of a masterpiece when you already own the original. It can even feel like it cheapens the memory, reducing a rich, multisensory experience into a flattened, two-dimensional image. They're not rejecting technology, they're just prioritizing reality. Their silence online isn't a statement against you. It's a statement for themselves and their own unfiltered experience of life. Now let's talk about a more complex type, the perfectionist gatekeepers. These individuals aren't just silent, they're meticulously curated ghosts. They might have a profile picture from 5 years ago that's perfectly lit and a bio that's been agonized over 4 hours, but new posts almost never. Why? Because for them, the stakes feel incredibly high. This isn't just about privacy. It's about performance anxiety on a massive scale. The perfectionist gatekeeper feels that anything they post must be flawless. The photo must be perfect, the caption must be brilliant, and the timing must be impeccable. This is often linked to a deep-seated fear of judgment. In their minds, a mediocre post isn't just a bad post. It's a reflection of their own inadequacy. The cognitive effort required to meet their own impossible standards is so draining that it's easier to post nothing at all. This is a psychological trap known as paralysis by analysis. They overthink every potential post to the point where the initial joy or impulse is completely extinguished. So they retreat into silence, which feels safer than the risk of being judged as anything less than perfect. Their empty feed isn't a sign of an empty life. It's the sign of a mind that cares almost too much. Next up, we have the privacy pragmatists. These are the people who view social media with a healthy dose of suspicion. They might have joined Facebook years ago to keep in touch with family, but they've watched the landscape change. They've read the articles about data mining, privacy breaches, and the commodification of personal information. For them, choosing not to post is a conscious, logical decision. It's a form of digital self-defense. Their motivation isn't emotional, it's strategic. They understand that every photo, every check-in, every life update is a data point being fed into a massive, invisible machine. This mindset is tied to a psychological trait known as a high need for cognitive closure, but in reverse. They are comfortable with ambiguity and don't feel the need to have their entire life neatly documented and shared. They see the long-term risks of oversharing as far outweighing the short-term benefits of a few likes. They might tell you, "I just don't see the point," or "I don't want my information out there." It's not born from fear, but from a calculated assessment of risk versus reward. They're not hiding from the world. They're simply drawing a firm boundary between their private life and public consumption. They're using the off switch as a tool of empowerment. Finally, there's a group I call the post-social survivors. These are people who used to be active posters. Their feeds were once filled with daily updates, photos, and thoughts. And then one day, they just stopped. This is often the most dramatic and telling silence of all. The post-social survivor has likely experienced what's known as social media burnout. They rode the dopamine roller coaster of likes and notifications, and they found it exhausting, unfulfilling, or even harmful to their mental health. Their decision to stop posting is a deliberate act of recovery. They might have realized that the curated perfection of their friends' feeds was fueling envy and anxiety. Or perhaps they grew tired of the endless debates, the negativity, and the pressure to maintain a certain online persona. Psychologically, this is an act of reclaiming one's mental energy. They are disentangling their self-esteem from the unpredictable algorithm of public opinion. It's like leaving a party that has gone on for too long. At first, there might be a fear of missing out, but it's quickly replaced by a profound sense of peace and relief. They discover that real connection doesn't require a digital footprint. Their silence isn't emptiness. It's a new-found quiet, a space they've created to focus on their well-being and the connections that truly matter away from the noise. So, the next time you come across a digital ghost, don't assume they're antisocial or living a boring life. Their silence is a story in itself. Are they the observer, quietly gathering information? The contented realist, living fully in the moment? The perfectionist gatekeeper, afraid of judgment? The privacy pragmatist, protecting their data? Or the post-social survivor, reclaiming their peace? Maybe it's a mix of a few, and maybe, just maybe, it's you. It makes you wonder, what does our own activity, or lack thereof, say about us? Which one of these types resonates with you the most? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's a fascinating conversation, and I'm curious to see where you all land on this. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, consider subscribing for more insights into the human mind. See you next time.